What's up, everybody? Rinde Adebayo, digital entrepreneur, real estate entrepreneur. Welcome to Ask Rinde. If it's your first time here at the channel, hit the subscribe button and please smash the like button. So today we're going to talk about how to stop foreclosures in 2018. Yes, people are still going through foreclosures in 2018, believe it or not. We deal with it every day, all day, and it is pretty much almost a dilemma. Surprisingly, the news doesn't talk about it. Everyone thinks that the economy's rebounded, but people are still dealing with issues on a daily basis. Before I actually talk about how dire the situation is, I want to talk to you and share with you what exactly a foreclosure is. So a foreclosure is when someone falls behind in their mortgage payment and they can't make the payments anymore. There are different stages of foreclosure. When a bank gives the mortgage and a note, you're expected to make your mortgage payment. Generally, most people have to make that mortgage payment by the 16th of the month, and you are allowed up to the 30th really of the month when you own a house. But the thing is that, of course, after the 15th, they'll hit you with late fees, but they don't report to the credit agency until after 30 days. So when you have a payment, when you have your payment, what generally happens is people that you've quote unquote classify are in foreclosure is when they've missed 3 months worth of mortgage payment. Okay. Now, of course, a person can have problems and try to remedy it prior to that 3 months. So you're not basically technically bound to foreclosure status until you miss that third mortgage payment, and then that's when the lender, there's a cutoff for the lender where they require that if you are going to be current or become in good standing with them, they require that you make the entire debt that's owed, which is 3 months worth of mortgage payment to them in one lump sum. This is where a lot of people run into a challenge. Now, the reasons for foreclosure and why people get into foreclosure are numerous. I can sit here and tell you so many different stories. I have helped hundreds of families at this point. I started dealing with foreclosures in 2002. Before most people dealt with it or knew anything about it, I had just gotten my license, and I was working for Century 21 at the time. And my second listing actually is a gentleman that called into the office. I was sitting the desk working floor time. He called in. There was a property in Maplewood, New Jersey. He was a young guy. And he said, look, I'm having a little issue with my property. I'd like you to come over and take a look at it and see if you can help me. And, you know, I'm a young guy at the time. I didn't know anything about it. I never heard the term foreclosure before. And when I went to his house, he told me that he had a situation where he was going through a divorce and he needed help with figuring out what to do. So that was this was early 2002. That was my first run-in with the term and the whole situation with foreclosure. And needless to say, we started to actually work together, he and I, and figuring out, understanding. Now, I didn't have any history. Anybody to turn to, the broker at my office at the time had no clue. She didn't know what to do with it. And so through process of basically helping him out and trying to figure things out to know what could be done, what his options were, etc., I started to learn and create a system for how to deal with the foreclosure process. And the rest is history. You know, I've had so many scenarios and so many families that were in different situations, all the way up from having a sheriff sale, literally an auction and a sheriff sale scheduled, and stopping that and getting them, you know, basically turned around, to situations where people had lost the property at the auction and the property needed to be redeemed, and we were able to pull it off. Now, the foreclosure dilemma is so dire, especially in New Jersey. New Jersey actually leads the nation in 2018 in foreclosures. In Bergen County alone, there are over 4,500 foreclosures. But Essex County leads with over 6,367 foreclosures. That's a lot of homes that are going up for foreclosure, and all those scenarios and all those people are in different situations. Some of them are due to job loss. Some of them are due to divorce situations. Some of them are due to family loss, death, you know, in the family, different situations. And what we try to do and what I look in, I have so much compassion when I'm dealing with people in foreclosure because I went through a situation in 2007 when the market went bad, at the time I had an agency that I ran here in Bergen County, and I had two offices, one in Hackensack and one in Ramsey. And I had several agents working under me. And when the market froze, everything stopped. They stopped lending. And I found myself in a situation where I was all in real estate. You know, that was my business. I was fully a full-time real estate agent, full-time entrepreneur. And I couldn't pay my mortgage. You know, I ran into a situation where I was in pre-foreclosure. And I had to dial in the same methods and the same things that I used to help people and all the clients that I helped over the years. Then I was now in that position. So I actually, by God's grace, was able to come through that situation and, looking back in hindsight, learn some new techniques about how to deal with the foreclosure process and how to address it. Now, the thing about with the foreclosure issue, when you're in that position and if you're facing foreclosure right now, there is hope. What I definitely strongly recommend is do not wait till the last minute. Many times we run into homeowners or people think that, well, you know what, I'm in foreclosure, I am going to see if I can just talk to an attorney and that's going to fix the problem. And now it doesn't work like that, because the banks now are looking for property. You know, as you know, we're in a seller's market. So the banks want the property. They're not cooperating as much, and it doesn't take that long. I mean, it doesn't take as long as it did in the years past to go through the foreclosure process as it is now, because we're in a seller's market. It's a very hot market, so the banks want the property. So whereas before, a few years ago, we saw people that hadn't paid their mortgage in 4 or 5 years. Some of them 3 years, some of them 6 years. I think the longest I've heard was 12 years, believe it or not, yes. And I've personally gotten someone out of a situation that was in foreclosure and had not paid his mortgage in 7 years. Yes, 7 years. So now, you know, the banks basically, they want the property. So they're very, very unwilling to necessarily cooperate. And when you put all your eggs in the basket and saying that, okay, well, I'm going to just bank on, you know, I'm going to have an attorney, you know, at the helm, he's going to take care of it, people are becoming pleasantly surprised, because many, many times people have lost their homes and they have an attorney on it. And I'm not saying, or this is not a video to actually spite or say anything regarding the attorneys or against the attorneys. What I'm saying is that it is your house. It is your responsibility. It is your family. It is your situation. You have to make sure and you have to be certain that what you're looking to do, if you're looking to get rid of that property, if you're looking to keep the property, you have to have your eyes on it. And you cannot just assume that an attorney is you're going to snap your finger, you're going to file a bankruptcy, and that's going to fix it. The surprising thing about it is that, as you may know, there are two types of personal bankruptcies. There's a Chapter 7 and there's a Chapter 13. People in foreclosure sometimes use the Chapter 13 as a lifeline. Now, you can definitely file bankruptcy and it can stop the foreclosure, but it's a temporary thing, because what happens basically is when you file that bankruptcy, you enter into a payment agreement, and the agreement really states that what you owe or what your monthly mortgage payment is originally, you will be paying that payment. Separately, you're going to actually enter an agreement with the trustee regarding the arrearages. So if you haven't paid your mortgage in 2 years and your mortgage payment is $1,500, and now you are 2 years behind, you haven't made your mortgage payment, when you go and file a Chapter 13, then you're going to first do your counseling, then you will meet to actually set up a payment plan. Payment plan is going to include the $1,500 payment that you're supposed to make for the mortgage. Separately, they're going to take the arrearages, those 2 years that you haven't paid, and split them up. And sometimes it's 48 months, depending on what the trustee works out with you. And then they're going to break that money down into what it calculates to monthly. So if it's $20,000, $30,000, whatever it is, they're going to break it down and split it over the whatever months they allow. Then that's going to be a payment that will be attached to your original payment. So you were in a situation where you couldn't pay $1,500. Now you're looking at a situation where you have to come up with $2,100. Okay, so that is something that you have to be aware of when you file Chapter 13. When you file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy is pretty much, you know, you're trying to wipe everything out. So you're going to take the property and they're going to sell it off to basically satisfy the debts that you owe to creditors. Now, there are a number of options that you can do. when you're in foreclosure. One is definitely a loan modification. You could apply for that with the bank. But remember, a loan modification is when they reorganize the loan. So if you took out your original mortgage and you had a 6% interest rate and you had a specific monthly mortgage payment, and let's say the market right now, I believe the interest rate is in the 4 point something percent. That's the best interest rate right now. You want to see if you can get that, which is supposedly going to lower your mortgage payment. Well, you can enter into and apply for a loan modification. There is a way to do it properly so that you can be successful, and we can definitely help you with that. I'm going to leave a link below in the description box where you can actually contact me, and I can help you regarding the loan modification if that's something that you're looking to try to do. Now, with the loan modification, you just have to be aware that it is a courtesy from the bank. It's not a guarantee. The bank is not bound to give you a loan modification. It's not their duty, or they're not obligated to give you that. It's a courtesy. So just remember that when you're actually filing for loan modification, it's a balancing act. Okay, it may come through, it may not, but it's not going to stop the foreclosure process. So what you want to make sure is that you position yourself with getting very, very good counseling and having a good plan of action to deal with the foreclosure situation, because when you're dealing with foreclosure, you have to have a way to make the payments. So if you are not working, or if you're waiting on a job and you're waiting on income to come in, the best thing to do is to communicate with the bank, but then make sure that you position yourself with a professional that's going to properly guide you and help you to make sure that you are making the right decisions, and pretty much set you in a trajectory plane that's going to get you to where you need to be. Now, when it comes to knowing what to do and how to do it, I can help you with that. I'm going to leave all my contact information in the description below, and a link to a website. It's propertysolutionsyes.com. You can feel free to go to that website, fill out the information, send me what's happening with you, and I will definitely, and my team will get back to you to help you any way that we can. I have had over 16 years experience dealing with foreclosures. I have done and dealt with any and every case imaginable that you can imagine, from $1 million properties to condos, single families, multifamilies, co-ops, you name it. And the thing is that there are always solutions to every problem, and this is what I specialize in. But what I wanted to share with you to encourage you is that there's always life after, and there's always hope. So this is a very scary situation, because especially when you're in your house, people's homes is their biggest asset. They put everything into it. They put their heart and soul into it. They put their memories, their children's memories. They raise children in their home. They've had a lot of pivotal moments in the home. And to have it just taken and lose it that way is something that is a very devastating impact. And you need to have a compassionate person on the other side helping you to navigate that whole situation. Now, with New Jersey, there are guidelines and there are specific laws that apply here. We, along with New York, have some of the longest processes for foreclosure, which is generally 12 months. But what I would share with you is that there is something that is very rarely spoken about. Most people don't know about this. There is a document that stops foreclosure dead in its tracks. And I'd like to talk to you more about that and share that information with you. It is something very rarely spoken about, but it's something unique to us. And we've gotten this over trial and error, like I said, over 16 years of dealing with sheriff sales, foreclosures, pre-foreclosures, divorce situations, probate, you name it. We've worked with all these type of scenarios and uncovered this document. And this document will basically shake the bank, shake the entire foreclosure process, and really position you in a better place. Now, of course, there are different things that apply, different guidelines specifically that apply to it. So, but it is a legal document, and it's something that was included when you initiated your mortgage with the bank. So we can talk to you more about that. And if you need more information and details on that, feel free to contact me and my team. Now, what I wanted to say is this, one last thing. Don't take anyone's advice or push that's pressing you to pay them to stop the foreclosure process, because there's a lot of scams out there, and we've dealt with things over the years where there are these services that promise people loan modification and that they will guarantee them stopping foreclosures. Do not give your mortgage payment to anyone that's promising that they're going to stop the foreclosure using your mortgage payment. It's a scam. I mean, there are so many people that think they repackage these things, and they'll come at you, under the guise of being an attorney. You have to be very, very careful. Okay, so the foreclosure process is a legal process. You signed up for it when you bought the property. The lender has a right to foreclose if they're not receiving payments. You also have rights, and I can definitely help you learn all your rights, share with you guidelines, and share with you a blueprint of what to do and how to guide yourself through it. So until next time, this is a quick snapshot of how to stop foreclosure in 2018.